Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back to House of Joy. I could not be more excited or more honored or tell you how many times I've tried to get this amazing, lovely, dear friend and fellow coach of mine on the podcast. Welcome, Alene Joiner. I feel like we need like a big round of applause and a drum roll. I'm so excited.
I'll give you applause to get the nerves out. Yes. Hi. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited you're here. And I know everybody in my community loves you, knows you. If it gets so excited when you're on the teaching or coaching schedule in our program. But maybe for people who aren't in LMS or who don't know you, can you give us a brief intro to the world of Alene Joiner?
Yes, it's quite a world indeed. I am a Catholic, a mother of 6. My youngest is 15. My oldest just turned 30. I live in the North Atlanta suburbs. I am married to a darling former musician, still side drummer occasionally, Harry Joiner, who is an executive recruiter, works from home. So we both have, offices at home. And yeah, I'm a seeker. I've always been interested in psychology and self-help. At one point, I thought I would go back or go to school to become a counselor, but life took me a different way, and I did the corporate route for a while until we got married and started having kids. And as much as I wanted to be the businesswoman in New York with maybe, a private practice in New York, I turned out to be a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and even a homeschool mom of all things. My friends back in New Jersey would be amazed at the trajectory of my life. I'm amazed too. So, yeah, that's part of who I am.
I love that so much. And you and I have such an interesting story. Actually, our stories come together at the founding of Life Mentoring School, because when I decided to get certified as a life coach, my life was kind of similar, like physician for a while, homeschool mom, stay-at-home mom. And then it took this crazy turn into life coaching, and that is where you and I met. So we met when we were both getting certified as life coaches, and we had never met before. So I want you to take us all back to when you and I first met. We were in the same coach training cohort, so the same little small group. So for those of you who are about to do coach training, this is where this friendship and
never know who you're going to meet.
This relationship, you never know who you're going to meet. This is how this started for us. So tell me a little bit about that, maybe a little more about that season of your life.
Yeah, so that was April of 2019, right, Edie?
Yep.
I went back to try and figure that out. And
Yep.
I was trying to figure out, I think I was supposed to meet you earlier than that. Was the beta version of LMS before certification?
It was for certification. Yes.
I signed up for that.
No way.
I did. I had been following you for years before that. I signed up for that beta version of Life Mentoring School, and then something happened, let's call it a rupture, a thing where I realized, turns out that thing that I wanted to do so much, if I go do that, that's going to create an even bigger rupture, and I had to pull out of it. And I was so heartbroken because I adored you. And then, can you imagine? I signed up for coach certification and you were in my cohort. How crazy is that?
That's so crazy. And I've never heard the story of that. You were almost in the first cohort.
Because I was like, wait a second. Yeah. So yes, I was supposed to be in that beta version. So then, yeah. And
talk about stepping into something that you feel called to. Exactly. And then God starts working things out in the craziest way because, like I said, we hadn't met before that. We ended up being in the same cohort. We ended up developing a friendship. You helped me. You were with me from the beginning, from starting Life Mentoring School. You were, just so intricate in my story. I think it's so cool.
Yeah. And leading up to that whole, like, how did I even get in certification. I think I was trying to like retrace this. I was a late adopter to, or a late joiner, because I'm not a joiner to Instagram. So I really think I wasn't even on Instagram till probably 2018, right? And it was there that someone, as you do, you plunk around and you find out about other people. And I found Brooke Castillo and her
Yes.
podcast, and I started listening to her. And then
Yep.
her coaching platform, Self-Coaching Scholars, which no longer exists, but and at that same time found, a coach on Instagram because, I was really that person, probably what, I don't know how many years I was married then, mid 20 years of married, 25 years married, and, anxious, depressed. My way to medicate was shopping.
Mm.
Turns out you can never get enough of what you don't really want. So really, I was kind of unraveling. I looked good. I had
Yeah.
several years of therapy, even spiritual direction, and all that felt kind of palliative, even, but it didn't really feel like I was moving from it. It was lovely to
Okay.
sit in the office of
And talk about your problems.
that little priest and that therapist. But yeah, I didn't really feel the movement I wanted. So it really was with that first coach, my Instagram, Sarah Baldwin, thank you, who gave me that container of what I now know was safety. That really helped me see, wow, this is life changing, you know.
Mm.
And it was because of Sarah that, and in Brooke's program, and that I thought, oh my gosh, this is possible for me, and I'd love to help other people do this. So,
Yes.
yeah, so adding to cart something that finally actually was going to change my life. I spent $18,000, which is what it was back then.
Yeah, you and I both joined her same certification. And
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, we now run together a certification and our program is, amazing. Um, half the price, but I would pay $18,000 over again today for
absolutely.
how that changed my life. I'm so thankful for Brooke. I'm so thankful for that program where you and I got to meet. And I love what you said about, because I had this same experience. I had a lot of therapy, and I'm like, even I'm tired of hearing myself talk about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you get it. I get it too. Like, okay, like now what?
Okay, now what?
Yeah,
Yeah. And coaching is sort of, I think for both of us, has been the now what.
yeah,
So I'm curious for you. I mean, you told us a little bit when you think about who you were then and who you are now, lots of things are different. Me too.
night and
What
day.
feels most differently for you now?
It's almost like I looked for old journals and I couldn't really find ones old enough to go back to that person, um, who it's so different. I feel like I'm a completely different person. But back then, I think I was in, performance mode. I'm sure I was people pleasing and trying to manage everybody else's emotions. But here's the thing, I was so bad at it. No one was pleased, least of all
Right.
me, right? So basically, I was just abandoning myself. I didn't know how to be with where I was. I really didn't know how to be there. So now it's like night and day. I live from a place of self-trust, right? And this didn't happen overnight. It didn't
Yeah.
happen just because I thought it was a nice idea. No, it happened with time, and I did the work. I just became so committed to not waiting for somebody else to change, stop waiting for somebody else to save me, be it that therapist or that spiritual director, or even my one-on-one coach. She didn't save me. She
Yeah.
showed me that I was the light at the end of the tunnel. That's actually in my Instagram bio, right? Like I
Mm,
decided I could be my own role model. You guys, do you know how powerful that is? And I know some people kind of, wince at the word powerful, but I like it
yeah.
because I really didn't like being powerless. So
Yeah.
it was, your language was taking full responsibility for your life. And the experience of being me changed. Maybe the external circumstances, some of those didn't change at all. But
Yeah.
being me is a completely different experience. And
And I think too, like I
that
say this all the
was
time,
fun.
if people had looked at my life back then, maybe it doesn't even look that much different, but my experience of my life is so completely different now. And it's exactly what you're saying. It's like my inner life finally caught up to, I think, what people thought my life was like.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So
think
good.
that stuff you taught so beautifully in Mastermind about, leadership. And when I learned to, trust myself, to lead my life and to step into that role, I'm really proud of who I've become. I'm really proud of who I am today. It was not easy. It's, still not easy. I'm not
Still
saying
not.
any of this is
Life's
easy
hard for all of us. Yeah.
or that I do it perfectly, but at the end of the day, this came up in encounter group, right? Like we don't really want the thing that we think we want. We don't want the
Yeah.
car or the number in the bank balance. I think at the end
Yeah.
of the day, what we all really want is to be able to look ourselves in the mirror and like the person we see, truly.
Yeah.
So yeah, huge shift.
So good. And for you, for me too, it's like I was starting to have such profound results just from, I had hired a couple of coaches before. I had had a book coach. That's how I created Life Mentoring School, the curriculum for Life Mentoring School. So I just started to see the power of the tools. And one of the things for me that was really profound was when I realized that even something that was true, my past, I could rewrite my experience of my past. And I thought, oh my gosh, if you can do this with your past, you can do this with anything. And it so motivated me to want to share the tools with other women. So for you, um, what made you say yes to not only do I love these tools and are they working for me, but I want to share them. I want to maybe build my own coaching program. I want to be a part of helping other women do this.
Well, I've built quite the career inside your ecosystem, right? And
Yeah.
honestly, it didn't start with a formal decision of that's what I want to do. It started with excitement and, it just felt aligned, right? It was coming off your live event in January of 2020. We had both been certified. That was actually the first time we met in person. And that's where I came up with the idea for encounter groups.
Yeah.
But
By the way, everybody in LMS, if you haven't told Alene, thank you for encounter groups. It was her whole entire idea. Like, oh, we should divide the groups up into these small groups and we could meet. Like, the whole thing was her beautiful, amazing idea. And that idea I think it's totally transformed what we deliver to people. Now it's so different than, some people don't know what they're getting into when they join LMS. But man, that one thing, that idea that you had was so brilliant. And I forgot that that's when you told me.
yeah, and you know what? It is brilliant, and I'm so glad it worked out the way it did. And I do think it is partially what makes it possible for, like you just said a couple of minutes ago about, I know this story is true, but there's another way to tell it. Like the only way there's another way to tell it is if you feel safe. And encounter groups
Yes.
are a safe place. This community is a safe community. So if you're not in this community, or if you're not in a place of safety internally, I'm referring to,
Yeah.
you hear these things and you say, must be nice. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So find your way to safety.
Yeah, and a lot of that you're actually learning how to create for yourself.
Yeah.
You're learning how to create regulation in yourself. You're learning like, oh, I've been living in fight or flight. Nothing feels safe. How can I start to rewire my brain, retrain myself to live a different way? And this group of women happens to be the most amazing group of women on earth that will hold space for you while you do that and help you do that and create a lot of belonging and compassion and grace and understanding for you along the way. Yeah, it was literally brilliant. And at
Yeah.
our last couple of live events, so you mentioned the one that we used to always have it at the first of the year. Now we do our live events in the summer. And the last two times that I can remember, the encounter groups were meeting in person. There were several encounter groups that were meeting in person at our live events. People who had learned of each other and met each other online in
Yeah.
these cozy little coaching groups, and then became friends and true cheerleaders and encouragers of each other. And now a lot of them know each other in real life. So it's so powerful.
Absolutely. I mean, I have people in my Tuesday 8 p.m. group who I've seen every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for the last 6 years. And
Wow.
same with my two Wednesday groups, like lifers. So
Wow.
it's incredible, incredible. You've created
So let
incredible.
well, we have. Let me ask you this, because now we can look at life mentoring school and go, wow, this is what this is turned into is amazing. But what do you think maybe helped you early on to see or helped you believe in the vision of kind of what we were trying to create for women? Because I remember when I first wrote this down, the idea for Life Mentoring School, I wrote it down in 2012. And I'm like, and I wrote down all the 12 months and I'm like, okay, what are the main topics, that women are struggling with? And I wrote them down. And it would be 7 more years, by the way, everyone. So when you have a dream, and you don't see obvious signs that you're creating it yet, remember that these things take time. And I remember when I wrote that down thinking, man, wouldn't it be so amazing if we had a program like this where we could gather together as women and be real with each other and show up as our true selves? Well, now we have that. And sometimes I go, gosh, how did we get from there to here? Like,
Well, hate to say it, but you are kind of a unicorn. So it does
oh,
have a lot to do with you. First and foremost, it absolutely was you. It was your teachings. I had been exposed to a lot of, similar kind of self-help stuff, maybe sort of, but the way you deliver your teachings, the unique, just paradigm that you have
mm,
was extraordinary, like so inspiring, so aspirational, felt so true, right? Like, oh, that's it. And then in the beginning it was just you being the coach on the Thursday calls, right? And you
yeah.
hold space, right? And it was just so sacred that you weren't trying to fix anybody, right? So
Mm,
with that kind of space and presence that you held, I was like, wow, this is extraordinary. You could see someone's life change in 12 minutes, 18 minutes on one of
mm,
your coaching calls. And that's been happening for 7 years or 6 years. How it's 6 years, I guess. So,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're extraordinary and just have a gift. You're obviously a gifted writer, a gifted communicator, and we all get to benefit from that. But
Oh my
we need to
gosh.
do our part too, and that's where the
Yeah.
community comes in. I know I say this frequently in encounter group. Edie doesn't want us to just sit at her feet and be inspired, right? That's
Yeah.
not what she's doing all this work for. So encounter groups helps us integrate, the curriculum and take it as
Yes.
our own and make it of use in our lives.
Yeah. And, especially since we started coach certification. And by the way, Alene not only teaches and coaches in our program, but she trains our coaches. So, both in our coach certification program and in our master coach training, which we'll get to in a minute. Um, and, I feel like what we have all been able to work together and create there feels like nothing short of a miracle to me. I'm so grateful for it. And what I've watched you do and what I have done, and I think that, um, some of our coaches that have been with us a long time are kind of on this path too. But what I've watched you do, which is so inspiring, is that you seek out um, learning and training all the time. You're always doing like, oh, I'm doing this program, or I hired this coach, or I did this extra certification. And I think that love for the the discipline and practice of coaching, wanting to get better at it, being a great student of it. I just see that in you and I so admire it. And I do think that it has made you an extraordinary coach. And what I've watched in the last couple of years is that it's made you an extraordinary teacher too. Um, and so I'm curious for you, with all of these higher trainings that you've done and the programs that you've put yourself in and the exposure that you've given yourself, what do you think separates good coaching from what I would call truly transformational coaching, which is, I feel like, what people get in our program?
Yeah, and you know what? Good coaching is great, right? I mean,
Yeah.
coaching will help you, see your thoughts, take, see that that's what's creating your experience of being you, i.e., your feelings, show you how you're showing up because of that. Good coaching is great. But I do think transformational coaching is where you really start to feel them and unhook from them and have the ability to choose, right, something else. Probably because of that safety piece. That's like,
Yep.
always at play. So it's emotional capacity, right, on the part of the coach and helping, your client develop, expand her emotional capacity. I think transformational coaching is about that container, that safe container. So when your client is coming up against, shame or grief or, vulnerability, you can stay with that without, rushing past it and
Yes.
trying to fix something.
Yep. I think too, one of the things that we teach that I think makes all of our programs different is the coaching tool. We call it a tool, but it's basically a teaching on true self and false self, and learning how to live as your truest, most honest, most loving, most nurturing, most wise self. But in the process of that, not shaming the part of you that keeps going back to her ego and her false self and creating. It's like you're creating safety for yourself to recognize where you're still living as your false self. And what I often say to our clients and what we teach our coaches is that, God loves our false self. He rescues our false self.
And
And no, we don't have to attach another layer of suffering and shame to that.
that's it, 100%, all that. Yep.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. When someone is being coached by you, what do you believe they're actually receiving beyond insight or advice? Because we don't even really teach advice giving. Um, what do you think the thing is that they're really receiving?
I almost think it's that space, that presence thing, right? Um, a space where it's just amazing to me, the women I get to work with, right? To hold space and to it's a gift that we create, right, together where they don't have to perform, they don't have to
Yes.
explain or justify,
Yes.
where I am in full belief that they're not broken. They're brilliant, actually. And they've
Yep.
come up with these strategies, these false self strategies to keep
Yep.
them safe.
That's
So
right.
they are brilliant. So, I think they're receiving just relief in some part, that they make sense, and
Yes.
your pain makes sense and your power is still available, right? So that what you just said about false self, true self, it's such a useful framework because there when we don't, it's so wild. Like just knowing that is relief to me. Like, oh, wait, that's my false self again. Love her. It's
Love
okay.
her.
It's
Yeah.
okay, honey. If I have any part of me can access my true self and reach out my hand to my sweet false self and say, I got this. Come
Yep.
sit.
Yep. And I
Abuse.
think that's part of it too is when you're being coached, especially the way we do it and the way we train our coaches, is that you have a coach that sees you as your highest self. And
Mm.
she sees, like, with lots of space and compassion without shaming, the ways that we've coped to show the ways we show up that are just coping mechanisms, ego, all of those false self ways. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. And I'm so, which is why I'm so grateful that you help train and mentor our coaches. I can't imagine somebody more equipped and skilled to teach them. So, what do you think newer coaches often misunderstand about the power of coaching, or maybe even maybe even people who don't really understand coaching at all? What do you think the misunderstanding often is?
That we're trying to fix
Yeah.
or get someone somewhere.
Yes.
Again, like I said earlier, at the end of the day, it's really helping people gain the ability to be with themselves. They don't you
Right.
don't really need to get somewhere else. What if you're actually okay right here? So that's what, I think women don't realize is possible through coaching, right? That you
Yeah.
can actually move through the world more often than not. It's not, 100% of the time, you guys, but you can move through the world with ease, right? And
Mhm.
the over functioning and the micromanaging of, your relationships and outsourcing your worth. And you can actually create your life instead of surviving it, right? So
Yes.
that self-trust piece, that's what happens in coaching, right? Like how can you possibly trust yourself when you don't know yourself?
Right.
You think it's something somebody else did to you. And yes, they did that thing. But can you be the one to, kind of put the stake in the ground and stop abandoning yourself? You think it's them. And yes, yes, it was them. But now can you be the one to stop doing that to yourself? And
Yes.
I I think that's what, there's a misunderstanding about. It's an internal thing we're accessing. It's the external results come, you know, when the internal is met with that kind of safety. So,
That's exactly right. And so that instinct that we have, maybe as newer mentors or coaches, to get them a result, really just witnessing them right where they are, helping them create safety for themselves right where they are, they make the change. They are fully equipped and all of those things to do for themselves what they need. We can just be sort of like a loving midwife, a loving witness to the powerful work that they will do in their own lives. I love that reframe of it.
oh,
Um, and I think it maybe is one of the things that sets our program apart. Let me ask you this. We talked a little bit already about encounter groups, but I do have one more question. What are the patterns that you see as an encounter group coach? And as a coach, in lots of different areas, what are some patterns that you see over and over again, especially in women our age, women in midlife?
it's, at the bottom of the barrel is always, shame that shows up as, sometimes it shows up as, the hyper performance based kind of lifestyle, self-sabotage, you know, um, which is really just self-protection. So really, I've seen, a lot of women who spend decades trying to manage everybody else's emotion while ignoring themselves. I remember years ago, I used to quote it all the time. It's exhausting to ignore yourselves. You said that once, and I was like, yeah, boy, Pete, isn't it? Right.
Yes.
Sure. So, that's yeah, that's part of what.
Yeah, and the transformation I think that we get to witness, you alluded to it earlier, whether it's on a coaching call when we see, like, wow, you can watch people visibly find relief and peace. You can see it come on their face, and you get to witness it a lot now, leading as many encounter groups as you do and, training our coaches. I think what's so powerful too is when women stop doing this, because it's a lot of inner work and it can feel isolating, to stop doing it alone and start doing it in community. And
Absolutely.
Man, the power of that.
Yeah, because the isolation breaks and, shame can't survive in the light. So when you bring your story to a coaching call or encounter group, shame's going to lose its grip, right?
Yes.
And that's part of what's going on there. That's where you can start to rewrite that story, not as someone, who's broken or damaged, right? But
Yeah.
as someone who's brave. I'm stunned every single day by the examples in our community. And, we're all here, trying to watch podcasts or watch YouTube, and I love those too. But
Yeah.
in our community, we have real life examples every single day in Encounter Group of just that, transformation that is possible. And
Yeah. Women building resilience for themselves, really stepping into their full emotional power and capacity, changing relationships, changing their legacy. Like the stuff we get to witness is literally the stuff of miracles. And so as we started this program in 2019, I think we went for a couple of years. You started encounter groups, and then we kept kind of following the nudgings. Lots of people started getting results and saying, "Oh, I want to help other people do this. I'd like to train in your way of teaching and in your way of coaching." And so we started a coach certification program, which was incredible. And again, you were there from the beginning, helping me run that first round. It was incredible and amazing. I still have such fond memories of that first
yep.
time that we did it together. And now we've certified, I don't know, 450 coaches or something like that. We have amazing, beautiful women who are now out in the world helping other people with these tools. And then I was resisting this for quite a while, but I finally said yes to creating a master coach certification. And so I approached you last year and said, I can't think of anyone else that I would want to do this with me more than you. And so I asked if you would develop the curriculum for that, the advanced coaching curriculum for that. So I would love it if you just would talk about that a little bit, your experience of doing that, your experience of delivering it to our clients. I think a lot of what you created are things that are missing in the coaching world. And let me just tell you this, because I had created a curriculum for it too that was more like a leadership curriculum. It wasn't like related to coaching tools. But you created the advanced coaching curriculum, and I sat there each week stunned at how incredible it was, how deep it was, how like I still it feels magical to me, the curriculum that you created. So I would love for you to just tell us, how'd you do that and what was it that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was excruciating, frankly. But that's part of the appeal with master coach training. So I was not exempt from that. Master coach training is
It
a
was hard on all of us, wasn't it?
it's a very intense program, and that's great.
By design. Yeah.
Yes, it was by design. Thank you. So, I just noticed in myself and in other experienced coaches, just that ability again to stay with a client when real emotion starts showing up. And so my goal with the advanced concepts was to actually teach coaches how to slow down, right? How to
Mm,
build their emotional capacity, that window of tolerance we talk about, how to stay grounded, when someone's processing something hard, you
yeah.
know, how to help clients. It's so ephemeral almost. It's like vapor trying to define what I tried to do. That's was the excruciating part. It's a very robust curriculum that I created, and I think to sum it up, it's about presence. In our basic certification, which is also a robust program, and you learn what you need to be a coach, right? And at the
Yep.
master level, I think it's more about learning. We do both in both programs, but
Mhm.
I think it's more of an invitation in the master coach program to learn how to sit with someone in the dark
Yeah.
without the need to rush them toward the light, because mastery isn't performance. And for someone who was raised on performance and jumping through hoops and good at it, that's why it was so hard. Because creating a curriculum on the one hand felt like a performance, but on the other hand, it had to be about the who. Mastery is about who you are in the room. It's about becoming the gift that you're trying to
Yeah.
give, right?
Yes.
The calm, the clarity, the compassion, right?
Yes.
I've walked through my share of fires in my life, and I've done the work over the last 7, 10 years probably of, feeling what I used to avoid. And I'm not afraid of hard moments anymore. I don't,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't need someone to rescue me. And I say that only to show that because that's who I am, I don't need to rescue someone from their pain.
That's right.
I have seen so much value in my pain. Was it brutal? Yeah. Yeah. But
Mm.
learning how to stay present to it
Yep.
was really valuable.
Yes. I mean, and we teach this in all of our programs, but every emotion you're willing to process makes you stronger. And it's really true.
It's really true, you guys. I know. It's really,
Kind of brutal sometimes, but true.
yeah. And that quote, again, I'm with the quotes here, but I've never forgotten it because I heard it first from you. Joy is the matriarch of all the emotions. She won't come into your house if her children are not welcome.
Yes. And I heard that
You know what
from
that
the
means?
art, I think it was the Art of Accomplishment podcast, but I'm like, oh, I've never heard that before. That's
That's
so
exactly it. That's
awesome.
exactly what we say in 2 sentences. That's what we
Yeah.
mean, right?
Yeah.
So that means that people,
If you want your life to expand to this place of joy, you got to let it expand in all directions.
right? Sorrow is welcome, defeat, despair, embarrassment, humiliation. Come on in,
Come
kids.
on in.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that
That's
master
so good.
program is next level.
It's next level. The other thing I think maybe people don't know about that program is that it's also the time where people step from being consumers of coaching to real creators. So, of course, we have them do a project and create their own or start creating their own body of work, which freaks them out, but is also really good, really good for them. And then the curriculum that I created on divine feminine leadership in that program, it's kind of a three-pronged approach where you develop yourself as a leader, yourself as a coach, and yourself as a creator. And so, yeah, we have seen incredible, amazing growth from the women who have been certified through our master's program. And just so many thanks to you for saying yes. You keep saying yes, Alene. You keep saying yes to the hard things we keep asking you to do.
Yeah, because turns out, right, I have a sign, we can do hard things. I keep
That's
saying
right.
I can get my washi tape and cross out can.
We do.
For years I knew I could do hard things, and that felt kind of good for a while. Yeah, I can do hard things. You guys, it's when you actually do them that you really love life.
Yes.
So yeah, we do hard things.
Yes, we do.
That's really
Which brings me to like living out like the way that we're trying to have people wake up to their lives and um, see the limiting stories they believe about themselves, process the emotions that are there, learn to be where they are, learn to, from that place, create emotional power and emotional capacity so that they can, live fully into their true selves and their true callings. I know that you live this daily. I don't know anybody that has more notebooks and papers in her office of all the notes you
got
take, of
that
all
right.
the journaling you do. Like, there's
Got
probably
that right.
nobody. And
There
I
is
feel like
nobody.
I've got a lot, but I don't think I could rival you.
I want someone to top me. Nobody. Nobody.
So if I ask you how
And I
you live
used to
it
think
out,
that was a problem. I used to
you,
think that was a problem. I used to
yeah,
feel shame about all these piles. Turns out it doesn't even have to be a problem.
turns out this is how I live this out daily. I was going to
I
ask you
stopped
how
calling
you
it a
live it out
problem.
daily, but I think I kind of know.
No, no. Here's how I live it out daily, despite the piles that sometimes bark at me and tell me there's something wrong with me, that I can't get my act together and get these things sorted. I've tabled that to the nursing home, so fine. Now, no, now really how I run my life is like it matters. Okay, so that doesn't matter right now. You know what? That pile is, it doesn't bother me.
Yep.
It bothers some person who, if I took a picture of it and put it on Instagram, might have some thought about me that I don't like. It might bother them, but you know what? That doesn't bother me either. So, what matters to me is the actual life I'm living. And I have learned that as much as I love being kind of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl, like what's her name? Pretty Woman, that's her line.
Yes.
Turns out drifting through my days didn't bring me kind of, clarity and peace that I wanted. So now my trusty planner, I build them, right? So I use our tools. As a matter of fact, something happened. I didn't get my planner it got lost in the mail or whatever. There was a delay in getting me my actual planner. I had to print one out and work from paper, and I almost developed a twitch. And then
You're like, where's my
no
planner?
my planner came. So I use the tools. I map out, my days. I do my Sunday planning. None of this perfectly, you guys. And then I do plan tomorrow today. I got that from my coach, Kim Showers. Thank you, Kim, right? So I'm in
Yep.
the planner all day long, double checking. Okay, turns out that didn't get done. So I look at tomorrow, every night. Um, and I create plenty of space for, fun, ease. This is not just about optimizing, right? I'm not even trying to optimize my life anymore. I'm trying to create a life I want to live, right?
Yes.
You know,
Create a space you want to live in. That's
yeah, there's
exactly
such a
right.
pull this time of year to optimize everything.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. And I fall for that all the time,
Yep.
But
Yep.
at the end of the day, I want to create a life I actually want to live. And it includes rest, it includes fun, it includes, work and connection and exercise and good food and lots of things that I get,
Mm, I
right?
love that, Aline. Let me ask you, we're kind of wrapping up. So let me ask you just a couple more questions because I know that, we have some people who listen to the podcast who, have followed along for a long time. They love the value that they get from the podcast. But we are open right now when this podcast will come out. We are actually open for enrollment in Life Mentoring School, which we only do 4 times a year. And we've welcomed hundreds of new women into our program, and I'm so grateful for that. But I bet you there's somebody listening who knows she needs this. She's heard us talk about the power of community, the power of not doing this work alone. So, what would you say to someone who feels like, gosh, this sounds amazing. I do feel like I was made for more, but has some hesitation, has some resistance. Maybe it tells herself, well, it's not for me, or tells herself, well, that's a big investment to make for myself. Because I think as moms, we find this thing easy to do for our kids. We will go to any length to get them what they need. But
Hmm.
we don't do this for ourselves. I mean, I think I've learned how to do it now because the things that I've learned over the past 9 or 10 years, I'm really good now at investing in myself and deciding what I need and giving myself what I need. But a lot of our women, especially if they've never been in our community, aren't. So, what would you say to that woman?
Oh gosh, just do it. I mean, I just don't know how you're doing life without it. As crazy as that sounds, and as like grounded and safe and clear and all the growth I've had that puts me right here where I am right now, I still I wouldn't be able to maintain this without this community and my coaches. It's You don't have to do this alone, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I think there's a lot of people really struggling, right?
Yes.
I'm willing to believe there are, in fact, people out in the world who just have these lives of ease. Maybe they came from a secure attachment and, have that foundation from the start and they're able to, you know, have that internal safety. But more often than not, I don't know. I think a lot of people are, just going through the motions and not slowing down. They're ignoring themselves. And
Yes.
this is not an excruciating path. This
No.
program is a gift. This is
Yeah.
like a relief. We use that word a lot. This is not hard in the sense of it's hard and now you've got something else you've got to do. No, this is
No.
like
This is what makes everything else doable.
that. That. And
Yeah.
we do offer a monthly option. Yeah, maybe it is. I get it. It's cheaper if you do the annual. Okay. But if you can swing the monthly,
Yeah.
even for a month or two, I would
Yeah.
try it. This work works in community, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So much quicker.
Yeah, so much quicker. It's definitely, things that you could do on your own. I'm so grateful that I didn't choose that path. And funny story, when I first hired my first coach, first of all, I'm like, what? Because, back then it was like 12 years ago or something like that. It wasn't as common to hear people saying, oh, I hired a coach or oh, my coach or whatever. But I cashed out my 401k that I had a little 401k that I had built up when I was practicing medicine. And I am telling you right now and I think that program was $2,000, but that investment that I made in myself, I am so thankful to past me who was willing to do something, probably what people would have said is reckless or crazy. Why would you do that? But no, I've learned to bet on myself. And when I invest in myself, in my mind, and my emotional capacity, and my resilience and my growth, when I invest in that, I just have seen over and over again how it pays me back in dividends in a million ways. But I do think that it's something that a lot of us as women struggle with because we either don't feel like we're worthy or we don't trust ourselves. We're like, well, I've done things before where I didn't follow through. And I think the way we've designed it is it's very difficult to be in our program and not do that. There's too many opportunities to connect and to get the support that you need.
Yeah, and I also want to speak to the woman who thinks she doesn't need this. I'm good. I'm good. You know, this is
Mm,
for you too, right? I mean, look
mm,
at Edie, right? Like she's still in the work, still, building and growing and expanding herself. So this isn't just for someone who's struggling.
right.
That's the story of, a percentage of our community, yes, their origin story. A lot of us have come from a lot of hard and a lot of dark. And yeah,
Yeah.
okay. But if you were somehow, you know, that wasn't your path and you're like, I'm pretty good. Well, that's for you too. It's
Yeah.
amazing. This is an amazing program, right? So I,
And what if sometimes one of my coaches said this to me one time, like, what if the way you're experiencing your life right now, you would say, oh gosh, it's an 8 out of 10. What if it's not? What if what waits for you is so much more?
yeah, yeah. What if this is a two? I think it was that Stacey
Yeah.
who said that.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. Right. That's the C.S. Lewis thing about the, kid on the beach, right? With making mud pies
Yes.
on the beach and
He
doesn't.
doesn't even know
I
what's could be. Yeah.
loved mud pies at the beach in a way. That was the beautiful part during the brutal, right?
Yeah.
This This is just a way to expand your life. This program truly is extraordinary. It really is a very unique program that can give something extraordinary to anyone who wants to expand their life. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
And why wouldn't you? And you guys, you get Alene. So listen, join this program. You can join her encounter group. Alene can become your next amazing mentor. She is such just an invaluable asset to what we do at Life Mentoring School, I just want to personally say thank you. I love you so much. You inspire me to no end. I'm so very grateful that our paths crossed. I just can't imagine my life without you. I'm so very grateful for you.
So
So,
grateful for you and for, I've literally said this in the comments sometimes on, in your comments on your Instagram or in when we're in a launch on a webinar. Like I'm here as a woman who has experienced profound transformation. And I hope I've been able to communicate that in some way. But I'm also here as someone who I, I'm here for you in whatever capacity you need. So what I'm literally saying is if you need someone to convince you further, to have some questions, I'm on Instagram. Okay.
yeah.
Alene Joiner Life Coaching, I think is my handle. Okay.
Yep.
It is for you. And if there's any part of you that is feeling the nudge,
Mm,
respond to that. And if there's any hesitation, we'll hold your hand through all that resistance. That's what we do here. So I hope
yeah.
to meet you all soon. And thank you, Edie, for this opportunity. And God bless us, everyone.
Yes. Thank you. Love you so much. And I'll see you soon. Thanks, Aline. Bye, everybody.